Hello, everybody. Hope everyone's all right. We are now live. Let's try something different here. Can I move this here? Hello. That looks okay. Welcome aboard, everybody. Hope you enjoy tonight's show. I feel like sleeping. I ate some really greasy food, and my body's saying, you know what? Go to sleep. So, hello, everybody. This looks okay. This looks great, and I think this works great. Let me just adjust this a little better. I will change this to here so I can actually play with the SDR like this, which enables me to also move the computer so I look a little more natural. I can even put this here, although it makes noise. Let's put it like this. It's going to be much better. There we go. There we go. This is better. Hello, everybody. Welcome aboard. This is the live shortwave show. We are here twice a week. We talk about radio, and we are here to have fun. So this show comes to you from Montreal, Quebec, Canada, northeast part of North America. And we are talking about long wave, medium wave, short wave. Sometimes we go into higher frequencies, but there's a show and a place for that, which is a VHF, UHF show coming up this weekend, by the way. So on Sunday, February the 7th, you will have a VHF, UHF for those that are on the other channel. And of course, this is the first show for the week. The next one will be Saturday here on this channel. We are live twice a week, 7 p.m. Eastern. That's 0 hours Universal Time, which is either in the middle of the night or on Thursday for a lot of people around the world. It's, of course, Wednesday evening for us here in North America. So the 0 hour UTC mark. The next show is on Saturday at 3 p.m. Eastern. That's 20 hours Universal Time. And, of course, hope that you enjoy the show today. We are hopefully here to entertain and have fun with radio. I think this is the place where all of us that share the same passion actually are just having fun. And that's the important thing. I was hoping to get my 4-port multi-coupler for the antenna today because UPS had said that I should have it today. It was out for delivery, but I don't know what happened. It never came, and now I got an email around 4 p.m. saying, "Oh, it's going to be there tomorrow." So that's UPS for you. I hate UPS, always did, but hey, that's life. So I should have it tomorrow. But I did get today a very nice discount that I purchased, and we'll talk more about it on the VHF UHF channel because it's wideband antenna that will replace my mobile vertical. What I plan to do is not remove the mobile vertical. It's going to stay there. But the main antenna that I'm going to have will be will definitely be the discount. It's one of those discounts with a whip on top for lower frequencies. It actually is capable of transmitting on the CB band. That is what made me click the buy button because not only did I want to have a discount, but when I saw that it could actually be used as a transmission antenna for CB and also for the amateur bands if I ever get my license. It's good up to 300 watts. So you know what? Okay, cool. We let's check that out. So paid 85 Canadian dollars on Amazon. So it's pretty cool, and I'll be set up for the VHF range properly. For those that are new here, first of all, the thing about this show is that there's a fantastic chat room where people are having fun and helping out, and are great people that are just super friendly. The place where if you're a newcomer to the hobby, every question, everything is welcome, and you feel welcome, even if you might think your questions are, basic. Don't forget, we all started off at some point with zero knowledge. Kind of important to understand. If you want to continue to party, well, when the live show is over, there's a Facebook group which has the same name as the channel here, official SWL channel, and that Facebook group is where people post what they're listening to, share videos, pictures of their shacks, ask questions. It's a lot of fun. Also, it's a great place to learn. Once again, great place to share what you're listening to. I often post what I'm listening to and often comment or answer questions. Official SWL channel on Facebook. 1,400 and some members, so we're going quickly to 1,500. So it's kind of cool, and I hope that you enjoy. I think it's one of the great places where you feel welcome, and nobody thinks they're better than others. It's like a friendly place where we just share our passion for what we love, which is radio. So today's drink is wine. I actually have a California wine, which is called Conundrum. And so cheers, everybody. It's actually very good. And the reason for the wine is so funny. So, with the pandemic, what you start doing after a while is you want to, I try to order the maximum amount of stuff to avoid having to go out all the time. Because anyways, with the confinement, waiting in line is something that I have a hard time doing. Waiting in line has never been for me, and it's the pandemic has made me realize that waiting in line is a pain in the butt for the kind of person I am. So I've been ordering almost everything that I need. And of course, that includes ordering from the Quebec liquor store for like the vodka and stuff like that. But there's a minimum amount of money you got to spend to get free shipping. So and even to get shipping without $75 or more, you don't even have shipping available. They're not even going to ship. So you got to pay. You got to buy $75 at least. So what happens is I order my regular vodka that I like, but that comes up to $40, and there's still 35 left. So I started looking at the beer because I thought, hey, for the live show, that different beers would be nice. Unfortunately, they don't deliver beer. You cannot have the beer delivered. I don't know why. I find that dumb. So I've fallen on, well, okay, let's order some. I like a couple of glasses of wines from time to time, with food especially. So I thought, well, let's order wine and taste different bottles that I've never tasted before. What I find interesting is that there's a page where they actually give you suggestions of inexpensive wines that you might actually enjoy that are chosen by their experts. And I started choosing the wines that they have on that page. So I've been pleasantly surprised, honestly, with bottles of wine on that page that are as little as $11. So I think the one that I have here, I think it's 15 or $16. But I've been pleasantly surprised. So I thought, well, okay, no beer. Well, let's change that for a glass or two of wine while we do the live show. Anyways, the bottle's here, but I don't plan on drinking the whole bottle. It's a lot, but it's that's where I am today. That's why I've got a glass of wine. Anyways, that's the story behind this. So pretty much everything I order online, and even Paul the cat food I've been ordering off of Amazon, getting it delivered regularly. So it's pretty cool, and it enables me also to test different wines, kind of like that, and a little wine and cheese night sometimes and stuff. So hope you enjoyed the show today. We are having a lot of fun. Hope that you have fun watching, and that we got a few questions, a few things tonight that we're going to talk about. In the email, I'm just going to check quickly with the phone. So in the email, anybody saying hello by email? By email, we have, apparently I'm live according to a notification. Who would have known? We have Elizabeth that says hello from Regina, Saskatchewan. She says, perfect evening for listening to a great show. And thank you for explaining the electricity portion last show, talking about the power bars and the surge protectors. I thought they were better than that. But so she enjoyed that. And we also have somebody called Bruno that says hello. Love the show. Thanks for doing it. Hey, Bruno, if you're watching, why not let us know where you're from? We always like to know where people are from. It's kind of cool to know where people are watching around the world. I mean, this is such a international audience that goes with the international aspect of shortwave. So welcome, everybody. Matt, MDK2, nice to have you here from Denver, Colorado. And no problem with the laundry. I did quite a lot of it today, too. Mark Cope, nice to have you here in Dallas, Texas, WA5153 SWL. 68 Fahrenheit. So they haven't had much winter at all. Here we are now at a very decent level of snow on the ground. We've had about 10, I'd say we had about 10 inches in yesterday and the night, well, the day before. So yesterday was what? Tuesday. So yesterday into the night into this morning, we had about, I'd say a good 10 inches of snow. And it was I'd say, because there's snow and there's snowstorms. For me, a snowstorm is we don't just have 10 inches of snow. We have blowing snow and wind. Well, that was what we had yesterday. So it looked like a snowstorm at some point yesterday. So, of course, shoveling, a lot of shoveling. I think I shoveled at least 4 times. So, but, I like that kind of weather. So it's kind of cool. So now it's winter. It's really looking like winter, but it's not very cold tonight. It's 0 right now. Here it says minus 0.4, so it's 32 Fahrenheit, kind of just at the freezing level. Tom DXer, WPE2QED, nice to have you here from the Hudson Valley, New York. He's finishing the digging of 20 inches. There's I was watching a tech podcast this afternoon, and there's this guy that was in Massachusetts. No, he's in Pennsylvania. And he was saying that they had something like 25, 30 inches. And another of the tech journalists was in New York. And she was saying that in New York, they had 16 inches, which is a lot of snow for a big city, of course. So I think the East Coast got pounded. It's funny because when you look at the snow, we had snow about 10 inches in Montreal, but if you go up north 100 kilometers, there was almost nothing. It's like it was really, really concentrated to the south part of the province here. And of course, all the East Coast and the Canadian provinces of the Atlantic have probably had a lot of snow also. I know that some parts of the eastern part of Quebec province were expecting something like 20 to 25 inches of snow. Bobby Burgess, nice to have you here from Morgan City, Louisiana, USA. WA5107 SWL. Rob, nice to have you on board from Phoenix, Arizona. Dennis, nice to have you on board from Southern Illinois. We have Danny Shortwave and Radio DX. Nice to have you here from Yonkers, New York. What else do we have? Joe, nice to have you here from Virginia. James Farley, nice to have you here from New Jersey. Another Joe Rodman, nice to have you here from Chicago. Steve, nice to have you on board from Melbourne, Australia, all the way the other side of the world. Crittenden Tuttle 4, nice to have you here. Yeah, things are not too bad. I was kind of off today. You know, one of those days that you go through the day and you're like, wow, it's weird. It's like I'm half here and half not here. One of those weird days. I was expecting to have, I really, really wanted to have that antenna coupler because I wanted to do like a little unboxing here live. I thought, hey, that's going to be cool. Unboxing, but at 4 p.m. UPS said, hey, it's going to be tomorrow. It's like, yeah, okay. So, but like I said, I got my discount. So at least I've got a little something. So tomorrow is going to be the antenna coupler, and that's going to be nice to add in when I can actually install that outside. Not right now with the snow and everything, but soon. We're not that far off that spring when snow will start going away. Trimbali, Mr. Bale, nice to have you on board from Northwest USA. Hi, Brawler, nice to have you here from Arkansas. Danny Shortwave says, I shot a video in my new second MFJ 1886 loop out on the backyard during the storm, picked up from Craigslist seller for $50. So says my voice is still a bit hoarse because of COVID. Wow. Hope you're getting better, my friend. So $50, not bad. That's a worthy purchase. Mad Radio DXer, nice to have you here, my friend. I stumbled upon your Texan PL 330 video today. And by the way, Danny Shortwave Radio DX, Mad Radio DXer have a YouTube channel with radio videos if you guys want to check that out. Rufus, nice to have you here from the Laurentian Valley, Ontario. Rob, the blind picker, nice to have you here. W0RAB in Connecticut. Vicky Pelletier, bonjour, nice to have you here. Yeah, UPS. Well, it's not the first time UPS does that. It's not that they're that bad, but they are one of those that if I have one carrier that will say at the end of the day, oh, by the way, you're going to have it tomorrow instead of today, it's UPS. UPS is almost one of the only ones that I actually have where they say they change their mind during the day. Most of the time it's okay. Well, I don't know, maybe the snowstorm or the snow out there has done a little something to slow down, of course. Vince, bonjour et bienvenue, Vince Perrault. Nice to have you here, my friend. And we have, let me just go down. Try to go down here. Joe Rodman drinking a California Chardonnay. So cool. It's nice. Pretty nice. Sidvik, nice to have you here. Taxi cab company here in town will go to liquor store and drop it off. Oh, really? Wow. I never checked that. I would guess maybe some would do, or some service would do that. I wouldn't be surprised. Danny, what else do we have? Danny Shortwave Radio DX has a Drizzly Hap, sells beer. So no, here it. So here, first of all the alcohol, except for very, very special, like there's beer is in the grocery stores and dépanneur, like like 7-Eleven type places. But everything is controlled by the Quebec SAQ, which is the basically all the alcohol has to come from there, and so they have total control of everything. It's really crazy. So you have to go by from that place, from the Quebec government places and stores, the liquor stores, if you want to have most of the stuff. And they are extremely picky in the way that everything is distributed, and actually that is creating a lot of tension, because there's stores and even restaurants that would love to sometimes have special more choice, first of all, in the bottles and stuff, and it's a little complicated because of the rules here. Everybody's saying hello to Elizabeth, so it's always fun to see how everybody is welcome to the show. And Mad Radio DX are saying, please say hello to Elizabeth from me. So cool. Wizard of Oz, nice to have you here. KC9 TVN, Ozzy. Chris, nice to have you on board from Athens, Greece. VT Radio, nice to have you here. Paul, AA1SU from Essex Junction, Vermont. My usual computer is updating Windows 10. It's taking a really long time. Should have done it as I headed out to work this morning. Trimbelli, Mr. Bill, data signal on 6780 is still there. Let's check it out here. If I hear it here. I was on 6779 upper sideband, so we're gonna check out if I oh yeah, I think I can. Yep. Look at that. Yep. Can you hear the peeps? Kind of weird. Sorry, and it's being heard pretty widely across North America. I really wonder what those peeps are all about. I have found no information nowhere on the internet about it. So kind of weird. One of the mysteries of shortwave. Homebrew Vidman, nice to have you here from Nazareth, Pennsylvania. And 35 inches of snow there. That's a lot of snow. A lot of snow. So yeah, that's same place that one of the Paul Tarot, one of the tech journalists on the show today, was talking about. He's in Pennsylvania, and he said they had at least 30 inches. That's a lot of snow. Welcome back, Bobby Burgess. Trembali, Mr. Bell has hams on 3996, which is the 80-meter band. They should be in lower sideband on 3996, though. Although I've noticed that there's a gang on 3600, 3605 that are often in upper sideband. That was a question that I got asked a couple of weeks ago, also about the upper lower sideband thing, because he had come across some hams on I think it's 80 meters that were in upper sideband. And the question he asked me, and that could come to mind for a lot of people, is, well, they're illegal, right? And no, they're not. You are not, being an upper sideband on 80 meters is not illegal. You don't have to be in lower sideband. It's recommendations. Most of the amateur bands, what you have is recommendations. They aren't, you don't have to absolutely use a certain spectrum in the amateur band for a special mode. For example, 20 meters, we know that 14074 is FT8. If you go there and you start talking in upper sideband, you aren't against any rules of your license. You're not illegal. You won't make a lot. There's a lot of hams won't be happy with you. It's really a set of rules to try to make or give a certain order to the bands. So people in general follow those rules because it's there to make things or give a certain order to make sure that, nobody just pops up everywhere on different modes and it's like a big mishmash of different things. So, by most of the time when there's no contests, that's the most of the time when there's no contests, because where you see that these rules are suddenly not important is when there's a contest. There's going to be a certain order. You're going to have the bottom part of the amateur band with Morse code. Then you'll have part of just above that, a little part with digital modes. And then you'll have the single sideband portions. And so, that's kind of a set of regulations that have been put up to kind of help you say if you're on a Morse code, that, well, I'm going to be at the bottom part of the band. Or if I'm on 20 meters and I want to do some PSK 31, usually it's around 14070. Like that, it's also easier to find whatever mode and whatever you want to do. But it's just a recommendation. It's not anything, you're not illegal in using any other mode or doing any other thing at a certain frequency dedicated. And we see it in contests. I mean, look at the contest when there's Morse code or CW contests. I mean, there's Morse code everywhere. I'm sure it's driving a lot of people crazy. Radio teletype or a digital mode contests. Oh man, they are everywhere. That's where you see that there's no more rules. Contests are notorious for there's no more rules. We're everywhere. But in general, people follow these rules to keep a certain order on the bands. Blind Picker says got 18 inches of snow in Connecticut. Cool. Danny Shortwave says had the virus 2 weeks ago. I'm off quarantine now. Very few symptoms. Some fatigue at first, and my voice is hoarse. Much better now. Thank God, no other major symptoms. Cool. There was a story about a 14-year-old girl. She had COVID around Christmas with no symptoms, and then about 3 weeks after, in January, her health started degrading like really, really fast, and they say that she's part of some of the people that had COVID with no symptoms but developed some weird disease after it's gone. It's like there's something that happened to her. A friend of mine, actually, I got two friends of mine that had COVID. One that works as a secretary in a clinic. She lost her sense of smell and taste. It's the only thing she had. She felt fine, everything, but she lost her sense of smell and taste. It came back after about 6 weeks. And my other friend, she tested positive, and she works in a hospital, but she has not had any symptoms. She is, I think she's in her last few days before she can go back to work. 45 unit, nice to have you on board. And 54 Fahrenheit in Florida. That's kind of a cool Florida weather. What else do we have? What else do we have? Chris, 65 Fahrenheit in Greece. Cool. Here it's going to be cold again in the next week or so. Northern Dawn has heard Radio New Zealand on 15720. Cool. Matt says my latest Shack Edition is a Timewave ANC4. I'm gratified to say that it's making a difference. Cool. Chimbali Mr. Bales is hearing VLF MSK. Oops. I'll try to find the place I was. Okay. From super far West Australia over here near Portland, Oregon. Cool. So yeah, hope you are better. That's for sure. Mad Radio DXer says, thanks, Shell. I like the PL330, but I find the soft mute a bit too aggressive compared to the D808. Yeah, I can't say I compared both, though, for the soft mute. I haven't noticed if it's worse or not. You know, one of the big things about soft mute, personally, is I don't go crazy with it because I almost never tune around with the tuning knob. Most of what I do on this portable is punch in frequencies of stuff I'm going to listen to. But that said, when I want to tune a portable, I jump to my PL990X because it does not have any muting, and then the tuning is just so superb. Also in tuning around the single sideband, especially. So, but I feel you. I mean, there is a certain annoyance in the soft muting for sure. Shelly, nice to have you here from Southeast Pennsylvania, and going to grab my last Pabst hard coffee. Cool. Barnaby Barry, nice to have you. Barnaby Barry, nice to have you here from Los Angeles. Kimberly, nice to have you on board from California. K6YYL. Brian Penny, nice to have you on board from Cape Cod, Massachusetts. Love the cartoon you sent me. Wanted to reply to you. Found it funny, in the email. Nice to have you here. Brian Penny says, home delivery of booze is a good thing. Yep. No, there are stores. I don't know. You guys probably the same. There are stores that I hate going to, even before the pandemic. There are certain stores that the way they are made and the way that things are happening and going to the cash register to pay and all, that I totally hate going. And one of them is a liquor store. It's like, I don't like the way that it's positioned, and especially because there's like always a lot of people, and it drives me crazy. It's like, I go there and I'm like, yeah, I got what I want. I just want to get out of here. I can pay. Can I just pay and go? And of course, I'm a real, the real type of guy that hates going to stores anyways in general. If I go to a store, it's because I know what I want to buy. So I'll go in, take what I want, and get out. It's pretty much the way I work. And so there are stores like that I hate the way that all is done when you go and purchase stuff. So even after, the pandemic, when things come back to normal, I can pretty much see myself continuing the home delivery of my booze, probably. Yeah, I think that's going to continue for sure. There's a few things like that that I kind of enjoy now. Kamagzi 1976, nice to have you on board. Weather Service is forecasting 6 to 8 inches and 40 plus miles per hour winds tomorrow in Michigan. Yeah, we're going to have more snow. I saw that in the weather that we're supposed to have snow here too. I don't know how much snow, but there's supposed to be a little bit more snow coming our way. Jerry DX, nice to have you on board, my friend. We have, wow, you can buy whiskey on Amazon, Northern Dawn says. Forget it. Here, it's impossible to do so. It's even complicated between provinces in the same in Canada. VE3 VTG, nice to have you on board. Once again, a lot of people saying hi to Elizabeth. So it's cool to see the friendship here. What is the signal on 6941.85? Oh, that is link 11. I know which one you are mentioning. That's what do you have? Let me just check if I can find my mouse pointer, which I lost. Here it goes. You're talking about this here, which is this signal. So this is a variant. It's a little different tonight. It's a variant of link 11, which is the NATO digital link. You can hear it pretty much everywhere across the shortwave spectrum. So this is really a NATO military link. So link 11, but there's different variants and variations of it. It's encrypted communications between the different NATO bases and countries on shortwave. There's quite a lot of activity with that type of signal across the shortwave bands, even up to high up the easily up to 13, 14 megahertz. I created, for those that are on the messenger, the Canadian International DX Club members, I did my utility column for February coming up is the radars, the different types of radars you hear on shortwave. So we'll be learning where they come from, and there's SDR pictures. There's also audio clips that you can click. So you'll be able to identify some of the radars that are in shortwave, by the way. So hope that you're going to enjoy that. Sorry, guys. I have this weird... Mad Radio DXer is getting 67.79 upper sideband in the UK, but weak. Kind of weird. I wonder where it comes from. It's very, very weird. Very, very weird. Okay. What else do we have? Matt MDK2 saying greetings to Elizabeth in Regina, Saskatchewan. Matt says AM is done right at the upper portion of 75 meters. USB makes sense there too. Yep, absolutely. I mean, sometimes there are people in sideband anyways, even there where there's AMers, a lot of AMers, for sure. David, KJ4CMY, nice to have you on board from Georgia. Rob, thank you for your recent lightning and your outdoor antenna video. Learned a lot and really enjoyed it. Yeah, it's because there's a lot of misunderstanding, and there's a lot of I see a lot of the, I when I think about my own experience when I was a teenager putting up wire antennas, I pretty much probably had a little bit of was a little worried about, is my antenna attracting lightning? and stuff like that. It probably came across my mind when I started the hobby, because you start thinking, well, I'm stringing wires everywhere outdoor. What can happen with lightning and so on? And we and I never had any problems personally, and but I think it crosses our mind because we wonder, can I have problems because I put up a wire antenna and so on? And there's a lot of wrong information also. A lot of people thinking that grounding the station is to protect you from the lightning. It has nothing to do with that at all. You're not protecting your station from lightning with a ground. It's for other purposes. It's not has nothing to do with the lightning. And a lot of people don't understand that lightning can it doesn't need to be next to you to actually damage your radios. It could fall 100 feet from you and still damage your radios. So we got to be careful with that, because there's the electromagnetic fields that are created around it, and when it's really close, when you see the lightning bolt and you hear the thunder almost pretty much instantaneously, that thing fell real close to you. And it's always something to think about. In general rule, just disconnect the antenna every time you see that thunderstorms are about to cross. David says 109 watching, only 30 thumbs up. Yeah, 122 right now. So let's check it out here. 40 thumbs up at the time, with 124 watching. Pretty cool. Randy, Riverside, California. Nice to have you here. Thomas Olson, nice to have you on board. Been cleaning out 30 plus years of stuff. I found a DAC portable. Still sounds good. When you start cleaning your stuff. So, here when I had to remove everything because one of the apartments had bed bugs. Thank God I did not have any of those here. But I had to take everything out because they actually sprayed the apartment. One of the things that I realized while doing that is all this stuff that I kept. There's a lot of it is kind of emotional attachment, I think. One of the boxes that I found was all my electronic course, my basic electronic course, the first I ever took, with one box with all the books, and the other box has all the gear, the equipment, the circuit boards, and wires and all sorts of things that I needed for the course. And part of me is saying, well, you haven't touched that in 20 years. Why the hell are you keeping it? And at the same time, I look at it and it's like, yeah, but I don't want to throw it away. It's kind of interesting. No, I'm not drinking champagne, Jerry. It's just white wine. I'm not at the champagne level. What else do we have? Jerry Ballard, nice to have you here. And for JB, nice to have you on board. Sid Vic, nice to have you here. Yep, what wine? VT Radio, yeah, this weekend is the Vermont QSO party. Absolutely. So this is kind of cool. Keegan, X1080Xer, nice to have you on board from Northwest Arkansas. North Carolina for Jerry Ballard. Pretty cool. What else do we have? Jay Watterson 69, nice to have you on board. I'll pass on the message to Paul the Cat. Christopher Hansen, nice to have you on board from Montreal. That weird city. that in 15 minutes we won't be allowed to be outside because of the curfew. Welcome. Nice to have you here. What else do we have? Brian Penny says, on stores, you and I are buyers, not shoppers. Yep, that's exactly it. I do not like going around. The funny story with that is, thinking about it now later is more of a a good memory. But one of my sisters, she would come over, went to Montreal about 2 times a year, and she'd spend a few days here. And what she liked to do is, of course, she was born in the era here, and she was going when she was young. She would go to the shopping center, the shopping mall that's right near where I live here. So for her, it's like a teenage memory of going out to the shopping mall with when she was younger. So she likes going there, but she's the kind of sister she's the kind of girl that you go to the dollar store and she has her list of like 50 items, and you're like, okay, so you got your list of 50 things. We're gonna have to do every alley and find the stuff that you're looking for. And of course, what happens is that she found 48 of them, but there's 2 missing. And of course, you cannot leave until those 2 are found. And you have to go back again through the store, or you ask someone who's like, yeah, where are the combs? Okay, alley 12. Okay, let's go see 12. It's not here. And then you ask somebody else, oh, they moved it there. It's at 17. Okay, so the joke between me and my sister is every time we talk about it, she always starts the conversation with, I got a list. And I'm like, oh boy, please. No, don't put me through that. So she would be the kind that we go to the shopping mall at 10 a.m. and stay there, and actually we come back home, it's like 4 p.m. You spend the day at the shopping mall. And that is something, it's like, she always looks at me and she says, courage. The day's gonna go fast. You're with your sister, come on. The day's gonna go fast. But of course, as you get older, you look at that and you're like, yeah, these were good memories of when I was younger, and she would come over and we would go with my mom and all of that to the shopping mall, So, God. Kimberly says you can have marijuana delivered here. My brother half thought that was funny. I am sure. Would have thought that was funny. Well, yeah, things change. I mean, here the big joke with confinement was the fact that people were not going out, but there were lineups at the liquor store and the marijuana stores. And people are always saying, yeah, well, the drunks and the drugs are legal, and people are going for that, It's just, funny thing. And there was a lot of questioning about that. A lot of people were saying, well, every store is closed. Why the hell are you keeping those open, And it's like, yeah, well, they do bring a lot of money to the government. So in confinement, when the stores are closed and stuff are closed and the money is not going in, that's one part of it. And there's other reasons also. One of my friends that's very, doesn't drink and anything, and he was like going a little nuts on that. And I said, for some people, running out of alcohol is a life emergency situation that you get to the hospital for some. And I said, they don't want to see those people getting to the hospital because they don't have their daily alcohol dose. and mix in with the COVID cases and everything. You got to think about that. And the government, one of the government officials were saying, that is one of the reasons it stays open is because there will be alcoholics that are going to show up at the emergency room if we shut down the sale of alcohol. And we don't want to have that. What else do we have? Jerry DX says chilly weekend coming up and Quebec Carnival starting Friday. Are you doing it? I haven't. I look at so little news of what's happening that I know February is the Quebec Carnival time. I've never been to the Quebec Carnival, and I mean I live in the province. I should have someday gone there. I've never been to that. Jay Watterson says, I can see it now, an inebriated Jill ordering booze during a live show. Getting the vodka during the live show. Oh, man. Matt says, I haven't heard a lot of radar and shortwave lately, but it's because I don't find pirates on 43 meters as often as I used to. I'm sure the radar is still there. Oh, yeah, I see them regularly. Yesterday, I was seeing one around 60... close to 6,900 kilohertz, a very wide band radar too. What do we have? Jerry Ballard, what's with the sunspots? I am a bored 10-meter DXer. Well, first of all, it's not just sunspots. Do tune anytime. You never know. 10 meters has been quite active in the past couple of weeks here, even at night, around late at night and around midnight with sporadic e-skip. And it was actually, there was some 11-meter activity today, which means 10 meters was probably open, at least here on the East Coast this afternoon. But for the rest, well, we're still close to the solar minimum, so you got to give it time. You got to give the time for the solar cycle to slowly pick up. As the months are going to go by and as the year passes by, we should get more and more activity on the sun. So hang in there. But, still tune in. You'd be surprised at how many times 10 meters is open and nobody's there. And nobody's there. I've seen that so many times. 10 meters open, nobody's there. So you got to check. You got to check regularly. And there's this. I find it sad because there's a lot of the knowledge missing that there's other phenomena that can have 10 meters work, and one of the like sporadic e-skip that can happen at any time. It can happen at any time. And I see so many hams just like, oh, well, it's solar minimum, so I'm not tuning 10 meters. Well, you're missing out on stuff because it doesn't work just like that. It's not just solar activity. There's a lot more happening there that you got to check out. But, listen in. You'll be surprised sometimes. Once again, a lot of people saying hello to Elizabeth. Keegan, XNADX, I heard the FM stations from Mexico. Wow, that's cool. Laura Robertson, nice to have you here. KO4D FJ, nice to have you on board, my friend. Laura. Andreas, nice to have you here from Athens, Greece. Cool. What time is it in Greece? It must be like 3 a.m. or something. Matt says grounding has to be really extensive to protect antenna from lightning, like dozens of ground rods and radials and stuff like that. Yeah, it's really meant for other purposes most of the time, and including the way that you're, depending on the antenna you're using and the station you have. DX Pedro, nice to have you on board from Portugal. David KJ4CMY says makes it a habit to disconnect the antennas whenever I am not using my radios. Had I have hit by static discharges, learned my lessons. You know, like I was saying also the other day, just the wind or when it's snowing, things like that can actually build static on antennas. Matt says it's more than an average ham or shortwave listening will do. Yeah, absolutely. It's really, really extensive grounding. It's not everybody that does that. That's for sure. And nothing will ever handle lightning. If it hits the wreck, forget it. Whatever you do, you know. Trimbali Mr. Bell's getting a wad of super Dawn radars around 10.510, 11.510. So interesting to see all the differences in reception from East Coast and West Coast. When I look at what you people's report, it's really, really interesting. Really, really different. Keegan says one station I tried successfully to identify a Google search may have been identified by another DXer in Missouri after mentioning it. Station is 89.5 XHME FM. You know where you should search, Keegan? Look at Wikipedia. Look at Wikipedia because it is surprising the amount of information you get of all the FM and all the AM stations by country. So here I don't really DX FM because it's pretty much impossible, but I do DX medium wave a lot, and Wikipedia has a very extensive list of AM stations on every frequency on the AM band. So maybe check it out. They must have some equivalent list. I wouldn't be surprised for FM broadcasts. BT Radio. Yeah, if you're installing the updates of yesterday, the cumulative update for the May and October 2020 update, a lot of people have been reporting to me that they were very long installs. Here, my gaming machine is so fast that it took 3 minutes and it was done. It's a very quick one. But I saw today on the Windows channel that I have that a lot of people were mentioning that it took a long time. Canadian radio TV guy, I didn't actually make it a habit of listening to the Winter Field Day last weekend, but I did actually hear quite a few stations while I was tuning around the ham bands just for fun. And I heard quite a few stations calling CQ Field Day last weekend. What else do we have? Jim Bally, Mr. Bell getting a super wide data signal from 14,300 to 14,460. One of the things that you guys, especially on the West Coast, hear a lot more of the CNR, the China Radio, National Radio 1 stations from China. There's been an uptick in their use of DRM, apparently. So this is kind of interesting. So if you hear a lot more DRM on the bands, CNR1 has been ramping up their DRM broadcasting. Northern Dawn, yeah, I remember reading that somewhere. That South Africa banned all alcohol sales with COVID. What else do we have? Matt says, back in the early days of pandemic, there was a brief closure of the liquor stores, but they wisely and very quickly reversed that decision in Denver. Yeah. Here they were mentioning that they weren't taking the chance. So Charlie Mr. Bass says, I've had a friend UHF rubber ducky at half watt on the FRS chat with someone maybe 300 miles away during a major forest fire. There are different types of phenomena of transmissions of, especially in the very high frequency ranges like UHF, temperature inversions, and tropo ducting and stuff that can sometimes be extremely surprising and give quite amazing distances. Sometimes I can tell you it's pretty crazy. Steve Edwards, I paid 160 for a Alicrafters SX107 2 last night. Do you think that's a good price? I don't know. Maybe. Anybody else would have an idea about that being an interesting price for such a device, the Alicrafters SX107? Depending on how good, also if it works well, if everything's in order, it could sometimes be a good deal sometimes. David, KJ4CMY, yeah, dust storms. Yeah, especially dust storms, because that means it's extremely dry outside. And it's easy to see that it could create static. Justice for All, nice to have you here from the UK. Isn't that the title of a well-known album? And Justice for All. Victor Montuori, nice to have you here, Victor from Long Island. What else do we have? Chimbelli, Mr. Bell got a Morse code on 3874.7. Is it sending multiple letters or just one? You could be hearing, I don't know, 134, because I know there's Russian channel markers sometimes that are, there are some in the 80 meter band. They send just one letter all the time. Pamela Militia Catty, nice to have you here. Jim Gordon, nice to have you on board. Says Nevada Radio here in the UK is now offering the PL330 at £90 and the 990X at £260. Huh, interesting. What else do we have? Matt says, I saw a CNR DRM signal over a month ago. I haven't found one since. I got the proper version of Dream working, however. So there's apparently more. I was listening to World of Radio, and Glenn Hauser was mentioning that reports of DRM signals from the CNR1 Chinese national radio is on the increase quite a lot. Anybody had luck in listening to All India Radio in some of their frequencies in the past week or two? Because they started rebroadcasting a lot of external services. Unfortunately, a lot of the frequencies and times that they were using before are not used, including the famous 9445 to Europe, which made it to North America. But a lot of the All India frequencies are back. So that's kind of an interesting thing to look at. There's a so I'm just going to check here because there's a couple of questions that have been asked that could be interesting to answer. There's always somebody somewhere asking questions, and sometimes it's fun to answer them. So Bruno is sent another email saying that he is located in Alberta, Canada. So, well, welcome aboard for the province of Alberta, Bruno. And he goes on to say that he actually lived in Montreal for 10 years and really, really loved the city. He's in Alberta for work and might go back to Montreal someday. Who knows? So cool. Nice to have you on board. And talking of questions, he's got a question. He says that Eve has a hard time finding stations to listen to. Where he lives, he says that the noise level isn't that bad, but with his um, Sony ICF 2010 receiver and telescopic, it doesn't seem to pick up much to a point where he thinks that the radio might actually be broken. Could it be that my radio is deaf somehow? Because even on medium wave, I seem to have a hard time catching even some of the strongest AM signals. Could my radio have a problem? It's been purchased in 1990, and this radio that I kept over the years has not been used in more than 5 years. I took it out after watching one of your shows because it gave me the drive to listen to shortwave again. Any help would be welcome. Yeah. You know what? If you're saying that even medium wave is not coming in and all of that, there is, and it's not impossible. That's what you have. There's the first series of Sony ICF 2010s had a problem with one of the MOSFETs transistor and the amplifier, the RF amp, that easily would be fried by just static electricity touching the antenna. So I'm wondering if what you are seeing is maybe a problem with with that. It could maybe static electricity have zapped that transistor. If you're not receiving anything, even on medium wave, that could be a possible thing. It could be the fact that your that transistor is blown out and now your radio is deaf. Now, the problem with that is, where could you get such a radio repaired today? That's the big question. I don't really know, but I suspect that that unfortunately is maybe what you are actually being a victim of. I know that after a certain time, Sony changed the production run of the Sony 2010, and they fixed the problem where static electricity could zap that transistor. But kind of sounds like you probably have that problem on that radio. Anybody, what would you guys do if you had a ICF 2010 and needed repair? Anything, anywhere you guys would recommend? Because I have no idea. I don't know. I really don't know. Chimbali, Mr. Bell, I'm hearing maybe half of the Japan slot machine channels had decent signal strength last year. I couldn't hear them much after sunrise. Now I can hear them all day usually. Nick Clark, nice to have you here. Pamela Militia Catty, I have a question. Can I use a TV antenna that is outside to DX with shortwave? It's not the best antenna in the world for shortwave because it's meant to receive much higher frequencies. But it's probably better that than not having any antenna outside. It can maybe pick up a little bit of stations a little more than just a telescopic, especially if it's noisy inside. But it's definitely not the best antenna for shortwave, that's for sure. Patrick Moore says, I heard Indian sounding music on 598 the other day. Yeah, you got to be careful about that because 5980 is also Voice of Turkey, and they are playing a lot of Turkish music. And to an untrained ear, sometimes you can mix up those types of music with India. So, but not saying that didn't hear it, but just be careful, especially if you heard it here in, I would say, like around I don't know, 2021 UT. something like that. Even 19 UT. It's Voice of Turkey probably. I hear Voice of Turkey here in Turkish on 5980 in the afternoons almost every day easily. TVDXer, bonjour, ça va bien? J'espère que tu vas bien toi aussi. Nice to have you on board. Nick Clark, still waiting on my Ethon Elite Executive ordered from Amazon. Based on your radio review, I figured I'd jump on it for 136. No luck hearing a All India Radio, says Mark Cope. I think I saw a post of somebody hearing the around 15 UTC, the 11, what is it? 11560, 25 meter band that was on for a while and disappeared. I need to try that in the morning. I wasn't thinking about it, but I need to try that for sure, because I think I've seen a few reports of people hearing that one. I've seen a report of people hearing the man, I lost my is it English? Yeah, English transmission from All India Radio somewhere around 0607 UTC. So that could be interesting. Trimbelli, Mr. Bale, can I hear 8843-8891 over there? I've never really hear the Japanese. I've never actually heard the Japanese slot machine here. 8891 here actually is a frequency for, I think, air traffic control, if I'm not mistaken. So that's pretty much what I've ouch. So there's nothing there, but I think 8891 is one of those air traffic control frequencies. Let's check out a little bit of propagation here. Shannon in Ireland is pretty much line upper sideband. There you go, Shannon. It's not very strong tonight. It's there, but it's very weak. Very weak. Propagation doesn't seem to be fantastic at the moment. I'm going to put back the RSPDX on that screen this for the show Saturday. I'm still running the HF AirSpy HF Plus Discovery right now. Carlos, nice to have you here from Central Mexico. Nice to have you on board. Keegan says he's got the Ethon Elite Executive ordered on Amazon in July 2020. Good radio. Cool. Glenn Zekman, nice to have you here, Glenn. Hope you are well. What else do we have? Sorry, guys. Jeff King, nice to have you here from Jacksonville, Florida. Tom the Xer. So the guy with the Sony 2010 problem is in Alberta, Canada. So if he has to have it fixed, it would probably be better to have it fixed here in Canada. But I don't know. What I would do if I was a guy that had one here in Montreal, no, a big city like Montreal, there's still a lot of little repair shops, electronic repair shops. I'd bring it probably to one of those repair shops and ask the guy if he can do anything. And I'd explain the problem. It's very difficult, I remember when I had the Kenwood R5000 that started doing the dots problem in the display. I went to at least 7 or 8 radio TV repair guys, and when they would see the Kenwood receiver, they would all say, "I ain't touching that. Nobody wanted to play around with this. David says 2010 sounds like the first IF is fried. It may be better to get a new receiver than to have the 2010 fixed. Yeah, I almost suggested that, but the 2010 being such an amazing radio also at the same time, because I almost suggested that, well, you know what, get yourself a Texan or something. It's probably one thing for sure. If a radio like the Texan PL 660 or 680, which is a great radio, is probably not going to cost more than the repair of that radio. So, of course, that could be better to do so. Be better to buy a radio. So for sure, that's the only thing I would see, honestly. Pretty much the only thing I would see. What else do we have? So yeah, he's in Alberta, Canada. So I don't know if that is something that that could be fixed, but crazy. What else do we have? Nick Clark was looking forward to some shows on 5850 kilohertz. Probably won't have my radio until Saturday. Jeff King waiting on a Kato KA1103. Cool. Which is the equivalent of the Degen D1103. Denis, merci beaucoup. C'est un plaisir d'avoir parmi nous. Nice to have you here. We have Rich that says try Mike's radio repair at gmail.com. He has many videos on YouTube. He has been around for a while. Yeah. It's that's the biggest problem. It's like just before the show started. Just before the show started, there was somebody talking about, one of my friends talking about her 5-year-old smartphone with the battery dead. And, you try to explain to people, well, you're better off buying a new phone. And it's the same with that Sony. I totally understand, because it's the Sony ICF 2010 is a well-known performer, but yeah, I hesitated, but I was almost there at like, well, Chimbali, Mr. Bell. Yeah, it's also on the East Coast. So 8891 is Gander, I think, New Yorker Gander, anyways. So on the East Coast here, we hear the East Coast ATC on 8843-8891, because the East Coast is also using these frequencies, Chimbali, Mr. Bell. Because these are very directional. The San Francisco ATC is it's sending its signal over the Pacific Ocean, where the East Coast is sending its signal over the Atlantic Ocean. So the chances of them interfering with each other is almost inexistent. Dan, nice to have you here from Ohio. He's getting 20 megahertz WWV for about 5 to 9 or S9, about 20 minutes this afternoon, then gone. It can happen. Tom the Xer got a good Sony 2010 repair guy, but he's in North Carolina. Yeah, that's a little complicated, for sure. Canadian Radio TV guy says special broadcast on WRMI 93.95 February 8th at 0 UT KMRT, made by KMTS. It's broadcast on Monday at 0 UTC. It broadcasts on Monday at 0 UTC. It's kind of a pain. It's on Super Bowl night. Oh, yeah. Okay, cool. So Mike's radio repair in Pennsylvania. Yeah, that's, starting to think that it's almost better to buy a new radio, unfortunately, at that point, which is sad, because, I know these radios are pretty amazing. Larry Cordy, nice to have you on board from New York. William Helms, nice to have you on board from Florida. Kevin, nice to have you on board from Point Beach, New Jersey. Ray Carlisi, nice to have you on board from New Jersey. Ralph Crandon, nice to have you on board. Mike, WDX50 from Northeast Arkansas. Nice to have you here. Terry Bendel says, is the Ethon Elite 750 any good? You mean the Ethon Satellite 750, probably. It's an okay radio. It's not the best radio around, but it's an okay radio. Paris Tomopoulos says, which is your opinion about best shortwave receiver ever tested by you? I'm interested only for shortwave and SSB listening. No problem. There's there's a lot of the receivers today that are pretty good. If you're looking for a good radio, Texan PL 660, 680 are great. You'll have a great radio there. You can go a little higher to the Texan PL 880 if you have a little more money to spend, or even the 990X, but you don't have to spend necessarily a big amount of money for a good radio today. It all depends what you want to have and what you want to do, and it all depends the type of listening you want to do. Of course, if you like computers and doesn't matter for you to use a computer, you like the fact that you could see a waterfall like that here, and display the information of what's on the bands. Well, then you can go to something like an SDR Play RSP1A or an AirSpy HF Plus Discovery. These are great little SDRs, but they require you to have a certain knowledge of computers. So that's the other thing that could be a problem, unfortunately. But apart from that, there's great radios like the XH Data D808. For the price, performance is great. The brand new little, if you like something very compact, the new little Texan PL330. Definitely a winner in its category for such a small package with all that it can do. Pretty amazing. So, you got some for every price. And it's cool because today you can be in the shortwave radio hobby for a very decent price compared to, when I was young, having a radio that had the frequency display was something that was cost, a lot of money, and was not everyone that could go there, So that is cool to see that today it's much more affordable to have a decent shortwave receiver. Steve Miller, nice to have you here. 80 Fahrenheit in Arizona. Estrella Garcia, nice to have you here, Estrella. Command D76, does the 330 have an external antenna hookup? Yes, it does. And you can even disconnect the internal ferrite by a little keypad trick for AM long wave. But it does have an external antenna, and the very precise tuning up to the 10 hertz of the single sideband signals. Pretty cool for that. It's it would be almost a perfect radio if it was not the fact that it has that soft mute when you use the tuning button, because if it was not for that, it would almost be a perfect radio. I mean, for the price that it's sold, it's pretty crazy. Pretty crazy. William Helms was experimenting with the end feeding 10.5 feet of a 4-gauge wire last night, 2.3 to 15.6 megahertz. I liked how it was working. I have yet to try it in the daytime soon, hopefully. Cool. Trim Valley, Mr. Bell, hearing 12550 Will Strong. It's from a non-directional antenna in Taiwan, putting up 100 watts. No, it's not. It's CNR1 jammer in China. Trim Valley, Mr. Bell, you're hearing CNR1 jammer. Nobody in North America is hearing Taiwan. That's a definite answer. And the fact that you have it real strong is just showing that it's a China National Radio 1. So it's really, really China National Radio 1 that you're getting there. It's sad because I see this all the time. People's like, "Oh, I'm getting Taiwan with that weak signal from Sound of Hope or something." No, unfortunately, No, it's not an SMA connector. It's the standard. It's the standard 3.5 millimeter connector that is on every portable radio. All right, up here, the same one that's used when, like, on a Walkman or a lot of the older smartphones, because today a lot of the smartphones gave away with that connector. But unfortunately, Sound of Hope is an impossible task, and CNR1 is really, really, really the dominant. I see it all the time. I don't know how many people I've seen in different groups and different loggings. People are all happy getting Sound of Hope. Yeah, you're getting CNR1. It's the jammer. It's everywhere. It's blocking everything. I heard, I think it was Glenn Hauser, a couple of, maybe a month and a half ago, Glenn Hauser ranting on his World of Radio show saying, "Hey guys, stop saying you're hearing Sound of Hope. You're hearing CNR1 jammer. That's all. Stop saying that you're getting Taiwan." He was actually like almost, he was almost ranting at seeing all the logs of Sound of Hope. And it's like, yeah, I understand, but it's not that it's zero possibility, but it's a very small chance. That's for sure. What else do we have? Patrick Moore, I would love to be able to pick up long wave stations from Europe. And you're in Wilmington, Delaware. Any advice? Thanks for the Turkish radio ID. It's not an impossible task. Usually, it's a thing for the closer you are to the ocean, the higher the chance you'll be able to pick up. Then two things will play. You'll have to take into account. First of all, is the radio you're using known to be sensitive on the long wave bands? The second thing is, what antenna are you using, and is it well adapted for long wave? I know a lot of people that get long wave reception use magnetic loops or extremely long wire antennas. So that's pretty much it. And there's the noise level. Make sure that you don't have too much noise around you. But it's not an impossible task. I mean, there are some people that are hearing some European a lot. The one that is reported the most is Algeria. But it really, really, just make sure, check out the the antenna you have, your radio, or is it really, really a good setup for the long wave listening? Bad Radio DX, Sergio, you must do a video advising people that they are not receiving Sound of Hope at CNR1. I see it too often. Yeah. Matt says, anyone who wants to be sure can find Sound of Hope streaming online. They're based in the San Francisco Bay Area, so it's available for most of the free world. Yep, you can compare that, absolutely. But it's a fact that in North America, no one is hearing that. And if it's China is really jamming everything. It's pretty crazy. It's not impossible. I'm pretty sure somebody somewhere must be hearing Sound of Hope. Somebody somewhere must be hearing Sound of Hope. I mean, they would not stay online if it wasn't the case. But here in North America and even in Europe, Sound of Hope is an impossible task, pretty much. TVDXer, there's a guy that has a YouTube channel that does all kinds of stuff with radios, Mr. Carlson's Lab. I believe he's in Toronto somewhere. The guy with the ICF 2010 might want to start there. Oh, that's a good idea. I know Mr. Carlson's Lab. I didn't know he was Canadian, though. I probably slipped my mind. Maybe I heard it. Mr. Carlson's Lab. Yeah, that would be okay. Yeah. I mean, it's a great channel. I look at his videos regularly. I really love, checking the stuff, and the guy's really great. So okay. Well, that could be something. Mr. Carlson's Lab on YouTube. See if you can. Maybe you can track an email or something, and maybe drop him a line or something. Also, maybe he can help out. The worst part is there is somebody somewhere for sure that can fix that radio. And the Sony ICL 2010 is one of those radios that, you want to try to keep in top shape, for sure. But, okay, that's an interesting idea. As Matt says, CNR1 jamming, very strong against the broadcast, so it's, swamps away Sound of Hope, that's for sure. Dan, no, I've not, because it's, I'd have to put it. Actually, okay. I almost set it up and see if I can have it inside, but it's a pretty big thing. So for those that, I don't know if I can I get it? I can't get it. It's too complicated. I'm sorry, guys. I would have gone and taken the antenna, but no, I haven't set it up yet because, I mean, here we just had a snowstorm, so it's not time to put up antennas right now. But you know what? I am looking at at a forward for not just a VHF UHF listening and seeing its performance, but also is seeing what performance it will give me on my my CB radio, that little Bearcat 980 SSB here. I'm very, very curious, and I think that's going to be a lot of fun. So, but as soon, even if it's still cold, as soon as I can, that I can actually find a way to set it up, I will go and put it outside. The only thing I need now, because I'm going to take my time, I need to have LMR 400 coax, so that the loss on the VHF UHF range is as minimal as possible. If I'm to set up a new antenna, let's set it up right with a good feed cable for sure. Nick Clark, anybody knows of a good logbook template or book? And how many of you guys still keep logs for the heck of it? So if anybody's using any logbooks or anything, or log sheets, why not share it? And the last time I logged really was it was a long time ago. I have some logbooks from the late 80s and 90s here. The the logbook for me is it's kind of a video logbook now, because when I hear something unusual, I'll post a video on my YouTube channel, and so I consider that kind of a logbook, if you want, because I put it on YouTube. So that's kind of the way I do it. But I know some people like to have, maybe a template that you can print out or something. That could be nice. That could be nice for sure. Azul Mecanica, nice to have you here from Argentina. ¿Cómo está, mi amigo? Take care, Thomas Olson. Brian C. For long wave, I am on the coast of New Jersey and pick up several. Try 171 and 252. What's your setup? Just out of curiosity, Brian C. What setup do you have? What radio and what antenna are you using? Just out of curiosity. Nick Clark, if I have a friend that's also interested in the hobby, how much money would you suggest they foot for the first radio, understanding that might not enjoy the hobby for a long term? That is the question, an interesting question. So what you want for somebody that starts is a radio that's good enough to pick up some broadcasting. And of course, you don't want it necessarily too expensive because it might not be his thing, or maybe where he lives or the way that it's set up, the noise and all of that will be something that he doesn't enjoy the hobby. I would go somebody that says, hey, I would like to start and try it out. Probably I would say, look, start with a $50-ish radio, like, the Radio R108 or a Texan PL310 ET. It's not too expensive. It's sensitive enough that it'll get international broadcasts on shortwave. And you can put a little piece of wire on it to increase its reception. See how he likes it. It's difficult to have, it depends on how much money the guy gets, the guy has. If the guy is like, money is no object, I can pay $200. You can immediately, tell him to buy something like a Texan PL660, for example, that would have single sideband. Then he'll be covered for every type of listening on the bands that he wants. But for the most part, I would probably tell someone to try out with a $50 radio like the Radio R108, Texan PL310 ET. These are great starter radios that are sensitive enough to pick up pretty much everything. And then move on from there and see if he likes it. It's, shortwave is not for everybody. And I think when we look at who we are here, you either like it or not. And I'm pretty sure all of you have the same experience. That is, we do our hobby, but everybody around us looks at us like we are weird and that we're listening to noise and static. And that's pretty much, it's like, oh, you're listening to that static again. Yeah, I'm listening to my static again. So, that's the other side of it, that you get, I don't think everybody's in there, and not everybody's necessarily going to enjoy such a hobby. Like, we don't like all the hobbies. I mean, I'm a curious guy. I like different things, but there are hobbies that, I'm not interested in. There are things that I'm going to tell you, nah, that's not for me, that's for sure. Trim Valley, Mr. Bell, a couple of years ago, I went to the beach, specifically Seaside, Oregon. The signal difference from 100 meters from the ocean to being 1 meters was astounding. A lot of stations were overpowering. When you're next to the, I kind of envy a little bit all of those that are close to the Atlantic Ocean on the East Coast, when I see all the frequencies and the signals they're receiving that are so much stronger than here. Some that I get here, but are so strong on the East Coast next to the ocean that you're like, wow. And of course, a lot that are signals I don't get at all. And that's also kind of, wow, okay. Here I've seen maybe a little bit of a trace, barely visible on a waterfall of something in long wave, but that's it. I get long wave beacons, and that's pretty much it. So that's crazy. Yeah, that's also a good question, Justice for All, or a good recommendation is checking the long wave beacons and seeing how many you can actually pull in. If you hear a lot of them, then maybe you're well positioned to hear the long wave beacons. And if you change, the antenna or anything, well, you can refer to the long wave beacons to see if the signals are better or not. That's a good. That is a good idea. Dmitry Lavrinovich, nice to have you on board, my friend. Dick Power, nice to have you here. We have, let's check it out. Matt says, you give me an idea. If there's a Kiwi SDR in Taiwan, that would probably be a good place to try. But I wouldn't be surprised if CNR1 drowned it out even there. Well, you know what? While I was actually suggesting that somebody somewhere must be hearing it, I was thinking of going on some Asian SDRs, like in Japan or whatever, and try a lot of them and see if I can, when on one of them somewhere, get one of those signals. But probably that even there, exactly as you say, CNR1 might be overpowering it. I mean, we're pretty sure that the CNR1 jammers are all using the maximum power of 500 kilowatts. That's a hell of a lot of power. Against 100 watts, it's kind of there's no contest, basically. Canadian Radio TV guy says there's also Shango 066 in LA. He's one of my favorite tech channels. Yeah, I've seen some stuff from that channel too. Radio TV Phononut in Mississippi. Yeah, I remember seeing videos of that guy too. DX Commander in the UK. No, the name actually kind of rings a bell somehow, but I'm not sure. Dan says the best time for antenna work is in a negative wind chill. Oh man, Jim Valley, Mr. Bell, have a cheap 70-page spiral. Have some stuff written down for shortwave. William Helm, Slim Jim, or J Paul. My dad had a 64 wavelength base antenna from Radio Shack back in the day. I just kicked the antenna. I just kicked the camera with my foot. We're not seeing the on the air very well today. I got to fix that. Has to be better than that. Joe says I log everything on my iPhone using Airtable and plot it on a Google map. Dennis, PL330 might be an idea. Yeah, it could be. Absolutely. Nick says, I think that's a fair budget as an entry level to most hobbies. Yeah, it's hard to know when if somebody will enjoy the hobby. Keegan, put my real-time logs on TV, FM, medium wave DX on dxworld.com. Brian says he's got an ICOM ICR 8500 receiver and an AOR SA7000 wideband antenna mounted about 30 feet high. Also using a Ramsey Electronics broadband amplifier. So you got a lot of equipment there. And, we got that R8500 is a big gun radio too. So it all depends on what you were getting and what radio we're using. UVB 76 is in the house. Hey there. Nice to have you here. Still buzzing? Jeff King. The only loggings I do is more of a list of the medium wave frequencies and the stations I hear on each frequency. Yeah, I've never used what I would do is I would buy these books, like the spiral books, and I would just use them and in logging my stuff. I would never use really specific forms, but I would always keep a certain way of writing it. But I'm sure there are some that you can maybe print out even on the internet. Mad Reader DXer says I would say the D808 when one gets bored with or gives up on shortwave, they can use the airband. Good FM reception, easy to charge with phone charger. Yeah, that's an idea. Add the airband to it. Maybe that could actually help out in keeping the radio listening if the airband's there and you can hear local airports, stuff like that. Yeah, that's an idea. That's an idea. That could be a good radio also. Absolutely. That is an idea. It's a decently priced radio. The problem with the D808 is it's that sometimes it's hard to find and it's hard to get, and so it's not always easy to have one to purchase. When somebody talks to me about some of those radios or what radio I should buy, my natural instinct is always going to models that I know are easy to find. Like a Texan receiver, a PL660 is easy to find even on Amazon. And that always is something that I start with. The idea of you want to start in the hobby, what should I get? Then what should I get should not be hard to get. It should be something that's quite easy to get. So I don't talk about the D808 necessarily because I know it's not always easy to find. And that can make a difference between somebody going into the hobby or not. So I'll tend to go back to what I know as good radios that are easy to purchase, that you can find almost anywhere. So that's why my logical answers are always going towards the same radios, because they're going towards radios that are easy to find and easy to buy. Plus, sometimes I will also think about, well, if you buy on Amazon, you've got the buyer's protection, which is much better than a lot of other places. On Amazon, you just say, well, you know what, I want to return this thing, and it's going to happen. On eBay, you want to return that thing, it gets kind of complicated sometimes. Or if it breaks down, or so my logical answers are more in the easiest way to find a radio that is decent, and get that very often. Yeah, that's true, Rich. If you have a Android device, Shortwave Schedules app has a logbook feature that is nice. You can export the data in CSV or comma separated value format. For other purposes, such as creating a template or just keeping a backup of logs. So that's good. Jamali, Mr. Bell, some people don't have the capacity to pick out weak signals. Nick Clark says it's pretty magical that this old technology is still so amusing and magical, at least for me personally. It is, and you know what I like that this channel actually was able to bring a certain amount of people into the hobby, that are young and that are enjoying it. And I get a kick when I see somebody in the chat room saying, I'm only 18 or 20 or whatever, and thanks to you, or because I picked up my first radio thanks to you, and I'm going crazy receiving all these signals. I find it so cool. But you know what? It brings us back to one very simple thing. You're a radio guy or you're not. And that is, I think, fact. Not everybody enjoys it. Those that do have a tendency to really go nuts and really enjoy it. So, it's kind of interesting. KC9KUH, good evening. Nice to have you here. Nick Clark is in his early 20s and might be on the younger side when compared to others in the hobby. I want to share it with as many people in my peer group as I can. Cool. Please do. I mean, it's fun to have young, young adults and even teenagers get acquainted with what shortwave is all about and enjoy it too. It's pretty crazy. Mad Reader DXer says, I tried fishing. As many people I knew liked it. And I tried it a few times, did not like it. It's that's the thing. That's the thing. And it's kind of cool, what else do we have? So Valley Mr. Bell is in his mid 20s. Pretty cool. Keegan says, remember listening to the BBC on 198 kilohertz on a remote SDR in the UK, and also on an SDR in the Northeast US. So it's possible, but it's the equipment that you're using and the antenna and the noise level around you. Michael Rincon, nice to have you here, Michael, from Tucson, Arizona. Nice to welcome you aboard to the channel. Hope you're enjoying the content. UVB 76 long wave and medium wave transmitters being turned off in the UK. Yeah, slowly. Fortunately, these require such a huge amount of power and these huge antennas and antenna farms that at some point, they're looking at the land that's worth probably millions of dollars, and they're like, yeah, you know what? Why are we keeping this up? And they have the listenership. I mean, they kind of feel that not as many people are listening in on these lower frequencies. And more, I was looking at an ad from a there's an electronic shop that's selling all sorts of things, and they have radios. There was a page of radios, and I was looking at the radios, and half of the page, the radios had FM only. They didn't even support listening to AM anymore. So it's like, yeah, okay. Man. Matt says, yeah, and I'm pretty certain that China uses multiple transmitters to jam, not just one, so that they blanket China and any skip zones are filled. I think that's why it's so strong. It's possible, totally possible. They are crazy jamming. When somebody tells me, well, I don't think shortwave is important anymore. Well, if it wasn't, why does China jam so intensely the airwaves? If shortwave is not important, they would not be taking all of that money to imagine how many millions, tens of millions, if not hundreds, spent on jamming. It's like in the time of the USSR. They spent billions of dollars over the years jamming shortwave. So if in 2021 there's so much money put into jamming in China, maybe shortwave is still pretty important. And that is an example, that is an example. Chimbali, Mr. Bell, hearing MSK on 40.7 kilohertz recently faded in. Anyone know where it's coming from? Kevin is having radio Havana, Cuba in English, strong on 6,000. Let's check it out here. 6,000 kilohertz. 6,000 kilohertz. So here we are. And are we hearing radio Havana, Cuba?
Union of Cuban traditional music, Septeto Santiaguero was founded in eastern Santiago de Cuba in 1995. He came to the discipline of the traditional septet, guitar, tres, bongos, clave, maracas,
so we have a
trumpet, with the addition of the drum.
Decent signal from Cuba on 6,000 kilohertz. UVB 76. Here are a lot of Spanish stations and medium wave on in the UK. KC9QH says, I just moved to a new place, so I'm having radio with withdrawal. Probably, it's one of those things when it's not there, when you miss the what you're used to doing every day, TVD Exeter, WCBS, all smashed up and garbled tonight. Really? WCBS? See if I can hear it. 0880. What am I hearing?
This is the Bloomberg Green Business Report, sponsored by Merrill. More than 100 nations are pledging to get to net zero emissions in the next 30 years. That's according to the UK's Energy and Climate Intelligence Unit. The stakes are high. Scientists say failure could mean that the Earth will warm to the point that it's unlivable for dozens of plant and animal species and for millions of human beings. A sense of urgency about climate change.
Yeah, it sounds kind of
individuals, companies, and politicians. And
it sounds like the recording.
The worst case
the
scenario
playback is weird.
Point to the same conclusion that humanity is losing the fight against global warming.
Kind of a weird
Peter
playback.
Anderson, the executive director at the United Nations Development Program, says promises about what will be done.
The tape is about to be stuck in the tape recorder. Yeah, it does sound kind of weird. It's like if the recording is something's wrong with the recording and the playback. That is so weird. Nick Clark, if you were to bet, will shortwave be around for over or under an additional 15 years? I'd easily bet $100 that it's still going to be there. There's still going to be a lot of stations in 15 years. But you got to understand that the focus of shortwave is shifted somewhere else. But you will have the you will have stations on shortwave in 25, 30 years from now. I can bet you BBC World Service is going to be on shortwave in 30 years from now. Voice of America also. By the way, do you guys know that the Voice of America's Greenville transmitter site is being upgraded? They are replacing the transmitters with all new transmitters. Another example, if it's not important to have shortwave, why is the U.S. government upgrading the Greenfield transmitter site? That's another example that they think it's important to keep that. So this is kind of cool news. And earlier we were talking about a radio event at Cuba on 6000. For those that wondered, I was hearing radio event at Cuba on, what was it? Saturday night, I think, was when I listened to radio event at Cuba. And they came to the subject of Arnie Coro because some listeners were asking why we would not hear Arnie Coro on the station. And they actually said on the air that Arnie Coro was sick but recovering at his home. So that's why we don't hear Arnie Coro much on Radio Van in Cuba right now. So hopefully he'll come back. It's hard to, it's the second time that he's got some health problems. And so, he's getting older. I don't know what age he is, but I wouldn't be surprised he's in his 70s at least. Keegan, the Ethon Grendig Edition satellite and on Elite Executive radios with SSB and RDS on FM, I have battery chargers built in. Yeah, most radios have battery chargers built in now. Pretty much all of them recharge the batteries internally if needed. UVB 76 shortwave will rise again when the internet fails. I think I think if a major world event would happen, and when I say a major world event, something that will make a lot of countries start blocking some of the stuff on the internet, that's when a lot of stuff could maybe pop up on shortwave again. Because you got to remember that shortwave radio, even though it's possible to jam, still goes across borders, and it still is there. You can block internet, but you cannot block shortwave radio. Rich says, yes, buyer protection from Amazon is hard to beat. Your favorite pick for a rig may not be right for someone else, and Amazon can make it right again. So, and there's the fact that, sometimes you have a certain amount of time that you can return an item. So you buy a shortwave radio on Amazon, you'll have a date. They're going to tell you, well, after that date, you can't return it anymore. But if you try it out and you're still within that, trial period, if you don't like it, you can just, say, well, I'm returning. I don't like that. So, that's a lot of my suggestions often revolve on the easiest thing possible. The easiest thing possible for a newcomer in the hobby, basically, and that's good. Keegan, going to be 25 in August. Mike, WDX50. I'm nearing retirement. More time for radio listening soon. Cool. Why not? Isn't that what we dream of when we work? I got to say, it's not lucky. I was about to say lucky, but I will say more, I'm privileged, because what I would do a lot when I was working a 9-to-5 job, one of the things I would do at night was listen to shortwave a lot. And I would listen to shortwave a lot on the weekends. And I would it's sad I can't listen to shortwave at work, You got to work. And when I became a tech guy and then became a YouTuber, I'm privileged to be able to listen to, right now, I listen to shortwave all day long. When I wake up in the morning, one of the first things I do is turn on this and go through the bands while I'm, preparing videos and so on. I am privileged that I can actually go through the day and check out what's on the bands and listen to radio. It's kind of cool when you think about it, Mad Radio DXer on eBay. I only buy from sellers that states returns are accepted. If seller refuses, you can raise a case with eBay. Recommended for shortwave stuff and other things. Yeah, absolutely. Someone lucked up with a $35 PL660. Broken antenna. Oh yeah, I saw that. Missing the battery hatch and all of that, and then just fixed everything and works great. It's a great deal. Great deal. Terry Bendel, if you're in a city apartment, I would think that the best bet for an antenna and the only real serious choice that you can have is the MLA 30 loop that I talk about very often. It's not a big investment. It's going to cost you around $40, $50-ish. And because it's a magnetic loop, it will lower the amount of noise you have and is probably the only real serious apartment antenna that you might want to take a look at. A lot of people actually purchased it and use it indoors near a window and say that they're getting surprising reception. So that would be probably the best chance for possible good reception of shortwave. Seacaris 26, cool. Nick Clark, I know that's not an answer to your question, but sometimes the best reception comes outside, away from my apartment in cities. Oh, that's for sure. And I think that goes for everyone. Today's technologies is so noisy that most of our technologies today, most of our radio listening today will be done in anywhere but at home for a lot of us. I mean, when I go to my little D expeditions, Perry Island and so on, one of the first things that I see is how much I receive there compared to being at home. And that shows you that, unfortunately, a lot of our listening has to be done somewhere else. Dimitri says, Radio Van at Cuba, 6,000 kilohertz, very clear. Yep, William Helms. A lot of hungry mouths would be fed with that kind of money. Absolutely. What else do we have? Okay, we're getting into that controversy again. Vinyl has better sound quality. Like when we go back to these things sometimes. It's like, there was the battle between, tube amplifiers sound so much better than transistor amplifiers. I'm not going to go there tonight, but, it's that. David KJ4CMY says have a spreadsheet for medium wave logging. It's very handy. Brian Vendenheimer, nice to have you on board, my friend. Joseph Inkamon, nice to have you here, Joseph, from Central Coast of California. Matt says, cool to be fair, CDs have been dying because of streaming. Yeah. It's funny because one of the most... So, we come from a time where, you remember, guys, we would buy a stereo and we would be happy to see the hi-fi logo on it because it meant it had that minimum of sound quality. And as time went by, we a lot of audiophiles, when we would listen to music, we would try to get the best medium for the best audio of any song. Then came the iPods, the iPhones, the phones, and the whatever we use today, and the download and streaming of music. That all crapped it out because almost all of that doesn't sound and is not of the quality that we should have for multiple reasons. For the size of the files, the streaming size, the download size, and so on. And you end up with something that sounds okay, but in reality, what we're listening to is far from being what could be the best sound quality. And you get to a point where you're like, wow, we just forget it. Doesn't matter now. The quality doesn't matter anymore. Where for so many years we went forward with, remastering of old tapes. And I mean, I remember hearing an original tape, Beatles reel-to-reel tape. And I mean, you listen to those recordings from the 1960s that were the top quality recording of the time. And you hear all that background hiss and noise in it. And you're like, wow, that was the best recording we could do at the time. And of course, we cleaned it up a lot over the years and all of that. And then the digital recordings and all. And I find it funny that today we don't even talk about the quality of a broadcast of a song today, or of an audio song today. That doesn't. It seems it doesn't ring a bell to anybody anymore. As long as I get my music, it's fine, and we're kind of there now. I mean, it sounds okay, but there's no more of that guarantee of everything sounding perfect and crystal clear. It just seems like, nah, it's okay. It's good enough for streaming, or it's good enough as an MP3, when in reality, we're losing audio quality in there. It's crazy. We've kind of decided that wasn't important. We wanted music. It's not important anymore, the quality of it. Pretty crazy. So, Trembelli, Mr. Bell, Greenfield Side B being upgraded. Greenfield Side A was downgraded. But if you upgrade, you you believe that you still need shortwave for sure. The Polaron message. I caught China's fire drake a couple of days ago on 9860. Wow. Cool. I've heard it. I don't hear it as often because they use the CNR1 jamming much more frequently now. But I've heard it in the last couple of months. I probably heard Fire Drake 2 or 3 times, which I find much more entertaining anyways, because it's some kind of, it's some kind of entertaining music, Sorry. Okay. There's even worse than rewinding the tape because you wanted to hear a song. Imagine listening to music on an 8-track cassette. On 8 tracks, there was no rewind. You had to wait till it came all back. That was the worst thing ever. Oh, man. I heard my first Pink Floyd on an 8-track cassette. My brother had an 8-track cassette of Wish You Were Here. And he had a 8-track cassette of the album Some Girls by the Rolling Stones. Oh, crazy. Man. Oh, propaganda is everywhere, Steve Miller. It's not just a shortwave thing anyways. TVDXer, speaking of the 2010, I'm going to take mine out tomorrow and see how it performs. I haven't had it on in over 20 years. I'll let you know what happens. Maybe I'm opening up a can of worms. Well, you should turn it on. It's a great radio, and you'd be surprised. Just be careful with it and touch everything metal before you touch the radio, not to zap the amplifier. But maybe you have the one that's fixed, because the first run out of these models were very delicate. You could easily zap the RF amp, but they fixed that problem afterwards, and it was okay. So, chances are it's going to be fine. Yarabamba, nice to have you here. The Voice of America turned 79 2 days ago. Cool. Jeff King, Arnie Coro was instrumental in getting radio station on the air during the Bay of Pigs invasion in 1961. So, yep, he has to be way up in age. Yeah, that's what I think too. And he could be 80, and I wouldn't even be surprised, honestly. I mean, he's been there all the time. SoCalf, nice to have you here. Danny Shortwave, no, I haven't received it yet. It's taking a huge long time. So, yeah, I need to reactivate that old computer museum channel thing. Maybe I should take the time to reactivate that. Sometimes I think about it and I miss the fact that I'm not doing videos on that thing. Hey, I got a few videos there that are like 200,000-300,000 views. And I'm like, maybe I should have continued. But that'd be nice to talk about for sure. But I haven't received it yet. It says on the shipping. So on eBay, it says that I should have received it by January the 25th. Of course, we are February 3rd, so we're past that date. When I click, so this afternoon I clicked on, report a situation. The first message that popped up was, with COVID and everything, maybe you should wait a little more. Yeah. The last time I received a similar item from the same region of the world, which I think is like Serbia or something, it took like 5 months to get here. I got it, but it took 5 months to get here. So I'm wondering if it's not the same thing that's happening with that. Because the guy has actually a tracking number. And the tracking number says that the last reporting of the tracking number is on January 12th. And it says item is in transit to Canada. Okay. We're February 3rd, and I still have nothing. Is it in a submarine or a boat or something? Is there a boat that sank in the Atlantic Ocean that I don't know of? And maybe that was in there? Because, it gave me the button for when I ask a refund. And I'm like, well, I don't want to have a refund if I'm to receive it. I'm not interested in a refund. I'm not that kind of guy. If I receive it, I don't want to have a refund. The guy took the time to send it, and he must have, and there's a tracking and everything. But so I don't want to. It's like the option was a refund or send me another one. It's like, oh, I got two options: a refund or send me another one. Well, it's because if you really send it to me and I'm going to get it eventually, I don't want to do any of those. I mean, crappy shipping is not necessarily your fault too, So I backed off and I thought, well, okay, I could send a message, but then again, what do you want me to do? If I send a guy a message saying, hey, I didn't get my item, he's going to say, well, I shipped it and here's a shipping number. Here's the tracking number. When I enter the tracking number in Canada Post says, we don't see that. It's as if it's in some kind of a time warp between Europe and Canada. So I'm going to wait. Seeing that the last time I ordered something like that took 5 months, I thought, okay, when I forgot about it somewhere in June, I'm going to open the mailbox and it's going to be there, It's just that I wish I would have had it sooner because I really, really am impatient. I want to, play all my favorite Commodore games. It's like, somebody, I was talking about it to someone who was like, use an emulator. I don't want to use an emulator. I want to use the real machine. Emulators are boring. It's like, yeah, I can play that game, I know, but I want to play it on the real, actual computer because that's cool. Emulators is like, I don't want an emulator. I got the Atari Flashback. It's okay, but yeah, no, there's no. It's not as fun. It's, that underneath inside it is probably a Raspberry Pi or something running an emulator with games. And I'm like, I don't find that cool, Matt says, Arnie Carr is about 80 years old. I fear with all of these health issues he's suffering that we won't have him for much longer. Yeah, that is something that I did think quite a lot, honestly. It's something that when we were doing our recording of the International Radar Report, me and Sheldon Harvey, we one day we were talking about how the major events and most of the big things happening in radio in our hobby are driven that people are getting older. And you come to we were asking ourselves, and I think when we were talking about Glenn Hauser, because also Glenn Hauser must not be very young. I wouldn't be surprised Glenn Hauser's in his 70s somewhere. And his voice is getting weaker. And when he talks, we see that he doesn't have the same voice and same spirit. And I know that he had some health issues also, Glenn Hauser. And, we were talking, it's like, when Glenn Hauser goes away, there won't be a replacement for World of Radio. And it's like Arnie Coro, is he gonna come back? Are they just saying that, and in reality, he's not coming back? We got to think about that. It's a possibility, and a lot of our hobbies are reliant on older people, and you got to think, if one of us goes, no one's going to be there to replace those people. It's not impossible, maybe, but in general, what we see right now is clubs shutting down or things that are not happening anymore. Why? Because that person is too old now, and they stopped doing it, and we're losing a lot around there. VP2EIH, aka KD4SLM. What's hardware software are you using? I have a DX Patrol SDR receiver, VHF, UHF. Here it's a AirSpy HF Plus Discovery, but I also use a lot the SDR Play RSPDX receiver, which is something that I use quite a lot. That's not plugged in right now. So usually the SDR Play RSPDX is what's here with SDR Uno software. Right now, what you see in the back is SDR Sharp, the latest version of SDR Sharp software, and running an AirSpy HF Plus Discovery, which I received a little more than a week ago now, that I'm testing out. Canadian Radio TV guy, do you ever attend Amfest? Yeah, I've attended the Longueuil Amfest. And when I was younger, I had a few Hamfests also. But last time, about, 2 years ago. A lot of them are most of them are out of town. So you need a car and you need to go out of town. One of the big ones is not very far though. I could technically go even by bus. Right here on the South Shore in Longueuil. But it's a great place for getting great deals on old radios. Ray Carlisi says, medium wave radio WPHT's 1210 50 kilowatt transmitter site is less than 5 miles from where I live in New Jersey. Their broadcast faintly bleeds over at times in the shortwave bands. Yeah, 50 kilowatt transmitter 5 miles away is a problem. I hear WPHT Philadelphia here in Montreal, actually, very well. It actually was one of the signals that was able to trigger the HD on my St. Jean HDR14. Mike WDX50 says, I'm an audiophile wannabe, streaming Tidal through LG V20 phone with a nice DAC Sennheiser headphone. It blows me away how nice the music sounds now. Yeah, but there's even better than that. It's like we kind of lost quality. It's not that it sounds bad. Music still sounds good, but we kind of lost track of the quality. The kind of, we stopped caring about how good audio should be and how clean it should be. Dan says the sounds are ones and zeros. Yeah, but even ones and zeros could still be really good. Because the problem on an MP3, for example, is that the ones and zeros are compressed. And that does induce a slight degrading quality. It's like a JPEG picture. People will play with raw pictures because they have all the data. The picture is complete with every detail. Then if you put it in a JPEG, it's not that it's bad. It still looks good. But the compression that JPEG brings to bring down the file size induces some noise in it. And somebody that's really, really used to it and good at it can look at the picture and say, oh, that JPEG is, it's not as good as the original raw picture, Dmitry Vrinovich says, I do recording old radio broadcasts from 1963 since Kennedy was assassinated. Wow. Frank Ireland, nice to have you on board from Venice, Florida. Hearing people on 4011 upper sideband, Trimbelli, Mr. Bell. Yeah, there's no hams on that bottom part, but what you might be hearing is MarsNet. A lot of them are in the bottom part of 4 megahertz. Matt says, somehow my family missed out on 8-track. We never had a player for our 8-track cassette. I actually still have a 8-track cassette player here. It should technically still work, but I need a 8-track cassette to try it. I should look on eBay if somebody has a cheap 8-track cassette or something interesting that I could get and listen to. I would put it's a Pioneer amplifier from the 70s. And I always kept it. There is something special about it. And it was actually the first amplifier ever that I dealt with when I was young. I was not even a teenager. I was like 10 years old. And that's where I actually listened to Pink Floyd on for the first time. And when my father purchased he purchased a Sears stereo. And that also had a 8-track cassette player in it, but that didn't last long. The 8-track cassette player stopped working quite fast. And I always kept that Pioneer amp with the 8-track cassette. I need to take that out and even if it's not to play an 8-track cassette, just to try it out with to test out the AM/FM receiver on it. I need to take that out someday and try it out. Michael Satterfield, nice to have you here. Good evening. Rob says 8-track tapes back in the day, those were really chunky, almost the size of a spinning hard drive. Yeah, pretty much. And when they were misaligned, I had that problem with the Sears 8-track player. You would hear the other track playing backwards slightly in the background while you're listening to your music. They were really crappy. Honestly, the audio quality was bad on these 8-track cassettes. The 4-track cassettes, the smaller 4-track cassettes, I'm sure had better audio quality than those old 8-tracks did. William Helms, Fire Drake, when rattling pots and pans to get chickens to be quiet is more annoying. Oh man. Mark Schmidt, nice to have you here from Maine. Joe says a 2017 post says Arnie was 74. So 4 years later it would be like 78. Okay. Yeah, William. Dr. Sisop, hello. Nice to have you here. WWV and CHU check. That's your usual demands every week. I'm just going to go down a little bit and we're going to do it. What else do we have? Yogi Man, nice to have you here. Danny Shortwave says emulators are boring. I enjoy playing on the actual hardware too. Yeah, that's the fun part. Knowing that my old, my 30, what is it? 36. Wow, incredible when I think about it. 36 years old Commodore computer is going to have the games, playing the games, running the games that I played 36 years ago. Pretty crazy. It's I like that. I like the real machines. And I got an Amiga 500. I got an Atari 1040 ST. I got a Commodore 128 that, of course, has the Commodore 64 mode in it. I mean, I have to say, I would love if it was not that it's so clunky and you need all the discs. To complete, it would be even more fun to have the real, 1541 disk drive with the games on it. But let's say that it's okay, and I've settled with the fact that SD card is going to be reader is going to be great. At least it's the Commodore playing it. Take care, Glenn. Stay safe. What do we have? What do we have here? What else do we have? Yeah, most Amfests are canceled now. Absolutely. Dimitri says, can be audible the Voice of America station in North America? Yes, there are. The best frequency and time is 11720 at 21 UTC, I think. That one comes in real well, usually. For the daytime, I hear Voice of America a lot on 15580 throughout the day. It comes in quite well from the Botswana relay. Hey, my friend Prasad, nice to have you on board from India. Returning after a break, had health issues, not COVID related. My schedules have changed and joining earlier is difficult. No problem, and I hope that your health is getting better. Got to take care of yourself, and I'm very happy to have you back, Prasad. Always fun to have you here. Canadian radio TV guy. Here's the funny story. When I was experimenting with some speaker wires, long wire antennas, I opened the window to adjust the wire and had WWV 15 turned up on my PL330. A woman turned up on my PL330. A woman who was walking, stopped and just looked at me. Just looked at the wire in my driveway for a good while, probably thinking, what the hell? Yeah, not necessarily the best way to pick up chicks. Although you never know. Maybe she's going to come up to you and say, WWV, what are you doing tonight? You're going to be hooked for the rest of your life with that. Slavko, VE3XYD. Nice to have you on board from Ontario, Canada. Yeah, it's in medium wave right now. That's why it's all lit up with signals. Every 10 kilohertz, there's something. Let's go back to a 49 meter band, a more normal empty band. When you compare it to medium wave, it is empty. Oh, God. Oh, yeah. eBay is crazy with radios and old radios and stuff. I can tell you that. RTM, nice to have you here. Mad Radio DXer, I used MIDI disc and it sounded too compressed for my liking, similar to early MP3. They are solid, though. Mine still works after 20 years. I remember a friend of mine going into that. He liked music a lot, and I remember he was a big fan of the mini disc. I I jumped on the CDs, and it's pretty crazy. Danny Shortwave Radio DX says, I have a Lloyd's 8-track portable radio from the 70s. Still works well, AM and FM. I haven't tested the 8-track player. I don't have a tape either. I found mine in the trash 4 years ago. Oh, wow. Cool. Jay Soul, new to Shortwave, bought a PL660 a couple of months ago. So, cool. Cool. Are you having fun with your radio? Brian Weiterhammer says, adjusted your tracking with a pack of matches wedged in the bottom corner. Memories. Chris66, nice to have you here from Kentucky. Oh, God. Good old memories of the days. That was something. Jim, nice to have you on board from Vancouver, BC. VE7COJ. Mark Cope had an 8-track recorder. He used to record a King Biscuit Flower Hour off our local Album Rock FM station. Oh, wow. Icadarius, nice to have you on board. Richard Bindner says, always a good show. Thanks for taking the time to present this. Say hello to Mr. Paul from North Central Texas. Cool. Always nice to be here. Dr. Sisop's got 5085 strong in the Cayman Islands. S8. Let's try it out here. 5085. And we have... Oh, it's not very strong tonight here. It's not very strong. Barely. Is it just a signal? Oh, yeah, I hear audio in it, but it seems the audio's weak. Wow. But there is 5025 Radio Rebelde. Looks good. Radio Rebelde from Cuba. So 5025 Radio Rebelde from Cuba.
Bueno, gracias. Seguramente las autoridades de la capital se van atentas y sobre todo porque hay un grupo importante de peloteros que se están destacando en equipos de otras provincias que son de la capital. Que fue un fenómeno aislado en algún momento, por ejemplo el caso de Andrés Tiana, que ha tenido una excelente carrera con las Tunas, pero hay otros peloteros que han estado, bueno, precisamente con Matanzas, en el caso de la Isla de la Juventud, con Mayabeque, con Artemisa, incluso con Pinar, en el caso de Artemisa González. No han tenido la oportunidad aquí y cuando la han encontrado en otro territorio, pues Pacheco la han aprovechado.
A little distorted, but works.
El problema es que Industriales tiene, como es la capital del país, Industriales es donde la mayor concentración.
Radio Rebelde Cuba, 5025. Kamegzi 76. I can't tell you how many great memories I have of as a kid playing the Commodore 64. It was a much simpler time for sure. Hey, I would spend hours punching in those programs from the Computes Gazette magazines to end up typing run and having an error, syntax error or something. But had a lot of fun. Probably the reason I became a tech guy and have computers today. Honestly, it all started off with a VIC-20 computer, though, for me. Carlos, my sons want a first radio. So the question, to 660, 680, or 880, that is my budget. I have twins. Mine was the XH Data. Whatever you choose is going to be nice. And they are very lucky to have someone that will buy them a radio like that, Carlos. Yeah, man. Rob says, how Paul the Cat's doing tonight? Pretty good. Pretty good. He's been meowing a lot in the last couple of days. I have the stray cat sleeping over a lot, and I think Paul is not very happy that it's happening. So I try to comfort him as much as possible because, when it's really cold, because we've had some minus 20 nights, I don't want to have the stray cat sleeping outside at minus 20. So I try to comfort Paul the most possible, and pet him a lot. But you could see that it's something he doesn't like. So, cat life. But he's okay. Joe, first computer was an IBM PC Junior, 64 kilobyte memory upgrade that bolted on the side of the computer. Oh, wow. Check CP Davis, not hearing much on 5085 Twin Cities. But the audio seems to be very, very weak. Matt says 5085 is very unusually weak tonight. If that's everyone's experience, and might be with a WTWW issue. Yeah, it is very weak here too. I usually have a much better signal and audio than that here. It's usually almost every night it's a regular listen for me. Hem Phillips, nice to have you on board. Dr. Sisab got a signal on 3300. No audio though. Weak S4. 3300. Anything here? Nope, nothing there. I do have a 3330 probably, which would be CHU. It's very weak, but it's there. 7850. Nope. Let's try WWV. 25. 2500, sorry. So that's WWV on 2500 kilohertz. Not too bad, actually. It's stronger than usual. That's the 5 megahertz, 5,000 kilohertz. Nothing on 10. Nothing on 15, so nothing above, but 2.5 and 5 megahertz coming on. 6105, that would be NHK Radio Japan via the Issoudun France transmitter site. Usually that is a signal that is coming in very, very strong here. That that frequency tells you that a good transmitter to North America and 49 meters comes in really well.
それでは中西さんの作品、2019年矢沢永吉さんのアルバムの中にね、2曲。
Radio Japan NHK from Issoudun France transmitter. Canadian radio TV guy, I don't know if this has happened with anyone else over time, but every time I plug an antenna into a radio, I've developed the habit of immediately tuning to WWV to make sure I'm actually receiving stuff. It could be that, but for me, the habit is going to known frequencies of the time of day or night that I am. So what I would do probably, if I'd plug a radio and want to make sure the antenna works, I would probably start by looking at Radio Vanucuba 6000. Because even if the audio is bad, the signal is always strong and always there. So that's going to be probably one of the first reflex at this time of night. In the daytime, I probably will try, WWV on 15 megahertz or something like that. But definitely, I think depending on where we live and time of day and night, we probably all have our select few stations that we try for. A lot of them also for me are the US broadcasters. I'll try WWCR 13845, which is always a powerful signal here in Montreal, or 12160. I'll try 15610, the WEWN Catholic station, things like that. But we probably all have our beacons of stations that we try for sure. Yeah, everybody's saying that 5085 is kind of weak. week. Richard Bidner, VIC-20 was his third computer. Wow. Daniel, 1960. Nice to have you here from New Brunswick. EC Fedderswalp. Were you able to find any answer on the time signal like CW sounds you heard a few days ago on 6779 upper sideband? Still hearing tones there here near Seattle. No info at all. At all. I have no idea where that comes from. We're hearing it a lot across North America. I have not at all received or found any information on it. I Googled a lot of the information. Nothing comes up. Nothing comes up. So seems like it's something that is kind of a big mystery right now. Where exactly? Richard says you might remind listeners that you could have hit the thumbs up button. Of course, if you enjoy the show, guys, please do. The thumbs up. Please do. It is always nice. William Helms got 20 megahertz time signal once last week. Cool. Mad Radio DXer says 6779 now received on U20 SDR. That is weird. Where does that thing come from? Fais attention à toi, DVDXer. C'est toujours un plaisir. À samedi. 73. Trimmelly Mr. Bell got 64105 moderate strength. Cool. Check CP Davis also. What else do we have? Patrick Moore. Wow, 6105 so clear. It sounds local. Eastern US. Thanks for ID. Yeah, you know, I listen to that broadcast regularly. I stumble across it. And I think, man, if NHK would just give us at least 30 minutes of English there, we would have the best Radio Japan signal you can imagine. Pretty crazy. 5800 should technically be, I believe, WRMI. 5800. Yeah, some music. 5800. And I think that's WRMI, right? 5800. 58. Whoops. I should not do that. And you guys heard that because I'm 5800 is at this time, yeah, it's Radio Exterior de Radio Argentina al Exterior on Thursdays. So that means it should be Argentina in English via WRMI on 5800 right now. Kind of cool. So WRMI from Okeechobee, 5800. Stunt car driver, nice to have you on board from Wisconsin. Cool, J-Sol. Thanks for subscribing to the channel. Dmitry Larinovich says the 7570 are very good signals. It's a little weaker here in Montreal. My best WRMI are 9395, 7780, and 850, 850. Check CP Davis, barely picking up 5800. Radio Vanna Cuba 6000 coming in super clear. Mad Radio DXer says, just Googled 6779. It was also received in November 2019. Interesting. Vince, what would you suggest me for an antenna switch box on UHF VHF antenna? Simple stuff. I can plug in my MLA. Not the perfect one, but something that would do the job because MLA kind of stuck on the UHF VHF. Yeah, if you want to switch between two antennas, a good old, do I see it here? I'm just trying to, a good old manual, good quality switch would do the job. Look, give me 2 seconds. I'm gonna show you an example here. Because I know what you mean. I like the RSPDX for that reason, because I can switch within the software because it has 3 ports. Try not to go away with the rest of the room. Ouch. And we are back. So what I would suggest, something like this, an alpha delta antenna switch. So you could you plug your 2 antennas and you plug the output to the radio, and you just switch. Alpha delta switches are known to be some of the best, so that could be something that you could check out. They are sold and are very good quality metal. This one I got from one of the viewers that didn't need it and wanted to send me an antenna switch. But so that could be something like that. You'll be able to plug in 2 antennas to the same antenna input. Or if it costs too much, you can buy something that, another radio that has more antenna ports to it. So yeah, 5800 WRMI. Yeah, I get 5850 here. Danny Shortwave says, yeah, I do enjoy NHK World over the air TV channel in English. I always wonder why can they broadcast their shortwave radio in English at least an hour. Yeah, unfortunately. Take care, Mike, WDX50. Dan says, slow scan stuff on 5850. Yeah, it's possible. They do have a few shows that have digital modes within the show that's playing. So it's not impossible that you're hearing some of that. Yep, something like that. That would be perfect. You'd have good performance. And this works great. Really, really good for switching antennas. Yeah, but the problem is that 6779 kilohertz. This time of night from Australia to here is daytime. Most of the path shouldn't be hearing Australia. Shouldn't be hearing Australia. That's weird. So I have a hard time thinking that is possible. So maybe we have some visit. Wait. That. Eddie. Yeah, look at that. We've got a cat. Mr. Paul is in the house, guys. So it's kind of, I don't think that's from Australia. But one thing for sure, it's interesting to see that we hear it at such a wide range. Pretty cool. So everybody's saying hello to Mr. Paul. Mr. Paul is a cutie cat. So getting to say hello to everybody. Pretty cool. AKA DX, yes, absolutely. As we were trying to find a name for him the first time he arrived here, and everybody said, oh, he doesn't wear a collar when he's in the house. I only put his collar when he goes outside, and even then, I've not been putting his collar a lot. He is microchipped, and the city does not require that he wears his collar with his metal if he's microchipped. So I know that he doesn't like the collar much, so I have a tendency to not really put that much. Mad Radio DXer for 6779. Could it be that it is on a clear band and a very strong transmission? It's possible. But you know what? One of the things that 6779 could be also, how Morse code can, be easily heard through noise, even if it's not super strong. I'm wondering if it's not necessarily that strong, and it still makes it because it's a CW like signal. So who knows? Yes, Mr. Paul. Mr. Paul is now in his little moment of wanting his owner to take care and say hello and pet him. So I don't know. It's kind of interesting. Rather than an MLA30 or a loop like that, you should look into something else like a discount antenna. Or even I've seen some mobile verticals that are small and do a wideband VHF, UHF. That I think would be the best solution. But the discount, if you can get yourself a discount, the one I purchased, I got today, is $84 Canadian on eBay, shipping included. And I bought it yesterday and I got it today. So it's a really, really good antenna. And that could be a really nice antenna. If you could put up an outdoor antenna like a discount without any problems, that would be the best. That would be the best for you. And then you can switch between the discount and the MLA30 for sure. Joe says either Mr. Paul put on a good winter coat or he has a double dipping the treat bowl. He's more of the second choice, the double dipping of the treat bowl. He's 22 pounds actually. Kimberly says, long story, trying to make short. I'm on 60 meters, the channelized frequencies. Another ham heard me and just was chatting. They said Canada 60 frequencies are different than US. Not what I found on net. What do you see about Canada frequency allocations for 60 meters? From what I have found, it is the same as ours. The person also said Canada used different channels for different provinces. No. 60 meters is the same for US and Canada, but it is different with Europe. In Europe, they have a different allocation for many of the frequencies. I think one is the same. I vaguely remember it, so I'm not sure. But I know that European 60 meters is different, but Canada and US 60 meters are the same. There is no difference. So that guy is like totally, totally, totally off. Totally off. AK says he probably enjoys the various shortwave big pitch sounds. So no. But in Europe, the allocations are different. That's for sure. Trembelling Mr. Bell, does your air spy have a load of noise around 6820? 6820, I don't know. I would have to. Whoops. Something has popped up there for some reason. That I don't know why. Here we go. Not that I know of. If I go on 6820, just check it out here. 6820. Do I have more noise there? Doesn't seem like it. No, in North America, it's the same Canada and US. But in Europe, I know that they have different allocation for 60 meters. And if I'm not mistaken, there's one frequency that can be is the same, but I'm not sure. But it's a different allocation for Europe. Okay, Maxi76 says, I would take Brother Paul over Brother Stare any day of the week. He would have his meowing show every week. 30 minutes of meowing of Paul the cat. Oh yeah, he's fierce. Last summer, William, he went after a dog that was at least 5 times his size. And the dog was actually scared of Paul. And that's when I saw that Paul, and I was like, wow, you're a fierce cat. Crazy. Doug Noble says there have been a couple of U.S. stations that have broadcast in shortwave in the past from New Orleans and Salt Lake City. Yeah, I remember the one in Salt Lake City. New Orleans is still there, WRNO. It's on 7505. But it's far from being what it used to be. So Kimberly says, I was just really surprised that he was trying to tell me that, and I looked and had seen we share the same channels. Yeah, some people just, I don't know. Mr. Paul likes to listen to whatever's on as long as I'm with him. It's pretty much that. So, yep, Europe is different. And, yeah, something like that's possible. They have to work split so that you can transmit on one frequency and listen on another. So, Oscar, Kevin, nice to have you here. VT Radio, take care, my friend. Yeah, WRNO used to be the rock of the world. I got some great QSL cards from that era when they were playing rock music all day long. Now it's religious programs on 7505, including some in Chinese Mandarin. Like weird. The link to the discount, yes. Vince, send me an email at officialshortwaveradio@gmail.com. officialshortwaveradio@gmail.com. I'll send you the link. It's $84. It has the whip. If you have a CB radio, that's also what made me choose it, is that it can transmit with the CB also. And it's good for 2 meter, 70 centimeter, and 6 meter amateur transmission, also up to 300 watts. So pretty interesting antenna. So it's 84 or something that I paid. Sorry. So $84 that I paid for the antenna, and it looks really nice. I had a discount from Radio Shack, Dr. Sisop. I had that discount, actually. It was up at the where I lived before, and it was out for at least 5 or 6 years. And when I moved here, I wanted to dismantle the discount. And every time I would actually start unscrewing one of the radios, it would just snap. So it's like, okay, that is possible. That's an interesting thing, and it would sound something like that. EC Fetters Wolf says, I got a little obsessed about the 6779 USB thing, and he joined the Utility Xer forum. Industrial, scientific, medical equipment. Yeah, that is possible. So just going to show you guys. So Vince, it's this brand. Actually, if you go on Amazon and you just type TRAM, TRAM, discount, you're going to see this discount antenna. So it's right here in my package, waiting to be set up outside. So, but anyways, I'll send you the link where of my purchase. And so I ordered it yesterday at 1 p.m. and it was here today around 1 p.m. 24 hours. Pretty crazy. Really, really, really nice. So anyways, I'll post you the link. No problem. Just send me an email. Hey, John McClure. Nice to have you here. So, hey guys, been on for 3 hours. I'm a little tired. I want to take some time off for the rest of the night. I will be back on Saturday and Sunday. Saturday and Sunday. And so we will have the Shortwave show on Saturday at 3 p.m. Eastern, 20 hours UTC. Sunday, the VHF UHF show at 2100 hours UTC on the other channel. So I hope that you enjoy your weekends of radio shows. So, yep, it says 1411. Yeah, it's that. It's model 1411 TRAM discount antenna. Is that antenna is good for shortwave? Well, it's made for 25 megahertz or above, but it could be used on shortwave somewhat. And I'll test it out anyways on shortwave when I set it up for sure. But I'm going to tell you, I'm going to try that. And it's going to double. It's going to double as a CB antenna also at the same time, which is pretty cool. And it accepts 300 watts in transmission on the ham bands, which is kind of cool. So, yeah, a double feature, Kimberly, this weekend, Saturday and Sunday. So, yeah, it uses the PL 259. I'm going to be using actually a LMR 400 for the wire. So take care, everybody. Stay safe. And we'll be back Saturday and Sunday with 2 shows on the Shortwave and the VHF UHF channel. Hope you enjoy. Take care. Stay safe. And see you this weekend, guys. Hopefully, I'll have my antenna coupler for my antenna. Be using one antenna with 4 radios. Take care, everybody. Stay safe, okay? Love you all. And take care. Bye-bye.